The next thing our entry would need would be a detail view, which would represent all of the data related to our entry. The best way to see this would be to go to a module that already has a set detail view. So if we go to calls, for example, and go into a entry of our choosing, we can see that the view displays all of the data our entry has that, of course, we defined and want to see. If we go into the component set and search for the module calls, selecting the calls details tab, we can see the structure of our component. So we can see that it is composed of 3 blocks that each have their own field sets that are predefined in the field set manager. Let's go back to our suggestion module. The way we can define the details tab view for our module is the same way we define the object list view. So let's go into our workbench. After that, we search for our field set manager, where we'll define the field set for the component. And here we're going to click on our TWE employee suggestion module. And we're going to press the plus button to add a new field set. We'll enter a descriptive name, something like TWE employee suggestions. Detail view. Let's save. When we start adding fields to it by clicking on the plus button. Before adding any fields though, inside of the field set, we're going to add another field set to it. So we'll stay to add field set options. We're going to name the field set. We're going to stay in the custom option and we're going to name it TWE employee suggestions detail view row 1. After clicking add, we're going to save and going to continue adding fields to our new field set by clicking on the plus button to the side here. So let's add a field, something like name, and another field, something like description. There we go. To add more rows, we could create another field set and name it regarding our module name. So it would be something like, click on plus, stay on custom, name it TWE employee suggestions detail view row 2. And we can add a field to this field set as well, which would be something like the status. There we go. We can save and move on to creating a new component set, which will render our field set. We now move on to the component sets manager, which looks like this. Select our module, so TWE. And now we are going to define the component which will display our field sets that we just created. Let's click on the plus button. And what we will name it, for the sake of clarity, is going to be TWE employee suggestions detail view. So we know that this component set and the field set we are defined are connected. Most of the time we would name it something like object record details, but for this simplicity we'll name it like this. After we create it, we can click on save and start adding components to it. Inside of the component section here, we're going to search for the object record Details tab, this Object Record Details tab, this one. Click on Add. And once we click on it, we can configure it further. We can add a package version, name, which will be automatically generated. We can add a label to it though if we want. For the field set we had made for this specific component, we are going to select our module from where we're getting it, and we are going to select the detail view for this specific one. Collapse is going to set our component so be collapsed by default. Hide label is going to hide the label if checked. And required module state is where we can, for example, for a panel, control the display via validation rule. It is not essential, so we can leave it as is unless there is a specific preference. Let's save. We can add another component to this set. Most details tabs have an object record administration tab that displays the administration details, so we are going to add that. It should be under Object Record Administration tab. Here we go. Let's click on Add, and let's click on Save. The next step would be to actually include our component set in our module. Let's go to our module configurations. Select our module. And here there's already some things defined, which I did previously. But in order to attach our object record details view, we would need to add it. So we'd have to click on the plus button, know which component we're talking about. In this case, it would be the object record details. Go inside of it. And here we can choose which field set we want to render. For our case, it's going to be the one we just created, so TWE Employee Suggestion Detail View. Read only is only going to allow users to view the component and not edit it. Header and display board are settings that are not essential, and we can leave them as is. Clicking on Save will now display our detail view, and we can check if we go into our module and try to add a new suggestion. So we have one here already, and if we click on New, our component set and our field sets that we want to render are going to be displayed here. So we can add a name, new description, test. The set is automatically going to be new, and assigned user is not defined. So let's click on Save, refresh, and we can see that our new suggestion has been created. What we can see now when clicking on one of our existing entries are the component sets and field sets we have defined, but also a sidebar that comes with it. In order to change this and hide this part, hide the parts that are not needed, we can go back into our module configurations, and under Object Record View, so we would again have to click on the plus button to add this configuration. And if we go inside, we can see there's two parts to it. So a header and main. Header being this and the main section being this. And here we can tweak it so it shows what we actually want.